Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna remember what the hell all of his Pokemon are, considering it's a randomizer. Fuck, they're higher levels than me, too.
You know, the Dark Trainer with all his sand outside.
It's weird, right? Right now, he's just using Double Edge over and over with a butterfly.
That butterfly's not gonna last at that rate.
I killed it, but Weepinbell almost went down. 20 health.
Sydney in his floating chair.
Electrode. I have Christmas Blade.
Oh yeah, speaking of floating, you know I've never been on a real airplane before, and I gotta tell you, it was really great. Except I had to sit between two large Albanian women with excruciatingly severe body odor, and a little kid in back of me kept throwing up the whole time. The flight attendants ran out of Dr. Pepper and salted peanuts. In the in-flight movie was Biodome with Pauly Shore. And oh yeah, 3 of the airplane engines burned out. We went into a tailspin and crashed into a hillside, and the plane exploded in a giant fireball, and everybody died! Except for me. You know why? Because I had my tray table up, and my seat back in the full upright position. Giga Drain one-shot Sydney's first thing.
Oh, Fortress looks kind of cool.
Oh, so I crawled from the twisted burning wreckage. I crawled on my hands and knees for 3 full days, dragging along my big leather suitcase, my Garmin bag, and my tennis saxophone, my 12-pound bowling ball, and my Lucky Lucky autographed glow-in-the-dark snorkel. But finally I arrived at the world-famous Albuquerque Holiday Inn, where the towels are oh so fluffy, and you can eat your soup right out of the ashtrays if you wanna. It's okay, they're clean. Well, I checked into my room and I turned down the AC and I turned on the Spectrovision, and I'm just about to eat that little chocolate mint on my pillow that I love so very, very much when suddenly there's a knock on the door. Well, now who could that be? I said, who is it? No answer. Who is it? There's no answer. Who is it? I'm not saying anything. Or they're not saying anything. So finally I go over and I open the door, and just as I suspected, it's some big fat hermaphrodite with a flock of seagulls haircut and only one nostril. Oh man, I hate it when I'm right. So anyway, he bursts into my room and he grabs my lucky snorkel, and I'm like, hey, you can't have that. That snorkel's been just like a snorkel to me. And he's like, tough. And I'm like, give it. And he's like, make me. And I'm like, okay. So I grabbed his leg and he grabbed my esophagus, and I bit off his ear and he chewed off my eyebrows, and I took out his appendix and he gave me a colonic irrigation. Yes, you did, you better believe it. And somehow in the middle of it all, the phone got knocked off the hook. And 20 seconds later, I heard a familiar voice. And you want to know what it said? I'll tell you what it said. It said, if you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator in Albuquerque. But specifically in Albuquerque.
Yes.
You can't dial your operator anywhere else. So
No.
Thankfully, if you live in Albuquerque, you can always call the operator.
Yeah. It's canon.
It's canon. Flash cannon. Oh my god,
Yeah.
Sydney has a Kecleon. He
My
knows me
Sydney
so
has a Gold Duck. It was going really well up until Gold Duck.
I wanted to make like a reference to the phrase "goldern," like "goddamn" or "goddang," but they say "goal" instead. But I couldn't think of anything in time.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. There we go. I beat Sydney.
Nice.
Not a bad start. I'm not going to use revives yet.
But
Because if I don't...
what other Australian cities will you take down this episode, you monster?
Not Perth.
Not Perth.
No, I'm not going to Perth. Do you have any idea how far that is from everything else in Australia?
What about the world?
Well, Australia's pretty far from most things in the world, yeah. It's kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
Alright, Ghost Zone. I can't wait to fight all your fairy Pokemon. By fairy Pokemon, I mean water Pokemon.
Water fairy Pokemon. Her whole team is just Azumarill. Or Primarina, I guess, but Primarina doesn't exist yet in Gen 6. Wow. Took Tentacruel down to 1 health.
Nice. It'd be nicer if we took it down to 0, though.
I thought it would be nicer if it took it down to 69. Nice.
That would be the nice word, yes.
Today I learned that numbers are also words.
Oh, great, it's a water type.
I would say we shouldn't have said anything, but then it wouldn't be as funny.
Yeah. Of course it's a water type. Using fire moves on my grass type. God damn it.
Well. Ooh, spooky lotus. The lanterns are shaking. Meanwhile, Phoebe's just dancing.
God, I get the feeling I'm really gonna have to level up Kangaskhan. Ooh, what's it learning? Gunk Shot?
Gunk Shot is a physical poison move, so it's very strong. 120, I believe, base power, 75 accuracy.
No, it's on Shelgon. I'm just thinking if I want to switch anything, because all my moves are really high damage. I could get rid of Mystical Fire, but I think it's my only fire move. I guess I could get rid of Bounce since I have Fly on Thero. Sure, type coverage.
This might not have been a good move to start with. Ooh, that's definitely not a good move to start with. I'm a switch.
Buffalant's the best Pokemon, right?
Overall, yes.
Yeah, it's just the Black Dynamite of Tauros.
Hang on, let me try to remember the entire segment of that movie that I love. Man, you guys ain't never had waffles like these. These buttery motherfuckers are so good. They like to come from down south. These motherfuckers will melt in your mouth. Man, I can't. Wait! Bullhorn, what did you just say? You said melts in your mouth. Quick! What else melts in your mouth? M&M's! Exactly. And not in your hands. Now, who makes M&M's? Mars Candy Company makes it, yeah! And Mars is also the Roman god of war. That's right. Who is the Greek god of war? Ares. Ah. Now take Mars, spell it backwards, drop the S. Ram. And Ram is a zodiacal sign for Ares. Oh, now dig. Ares' half-sister is Athena. How you getting it? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Athena? Athens, which is the capital of Greece. And as we all know, zodiacal astronomy was created by the Greeks in 785 BC. And 785 is the area code to Topeka. Oh my god. 785 is the area code to Topeka, Kansas. Code Kansas. Nate. What was it? Now you take that, spell it backwards, drop the S. Snake Doctor. Snake Doctor. Now what legend involving snakes is in both Greek and Roman mythology? Come on. Oh, wait. I missed a part during this that he goes something to the effect of, who is the demigod of medicine who is in both Greek and Roman mythology? Asclepius, of course. He had a staff with snakes that were intertwined all around that bitch. They called it Asclepius' staff. It's a symbol that the medical field uses to this day. Now what legend involving snakes is in both Greek and Roman mythology? Come on, it involves Asclepius' own father. Apollo, says some lady over in the back. Yeah, thanks, lady. That's right. Apollo slew the serpent at Delphi, which was a big-ass snake. And what, brothers, is the biggest snake in the world? The South American anaconda. What she said. Anaconda malt liquor. Now, what is the slogan for Anaconda malt liquor? Anaconda malt liquor gives you, woo! Gives you what? Woo! Now who else is known for, woo? Little Richard. Who? Little Richard. So, what they're really saying is, Anaconda malt liquor gives you a Little Richard. Now what is another name for Richard? they all look down, and they realize that their associate Gunsmoke has just drunk a lot of this Anaconda malt liquor, so they run off to him, and they find him in his apartment, and they find him, like, on the, drunk on the couch, and Black Dynamite reveals, Anaconda malt liquor gives you a little dick, and they zoom in on the little dick of their cohort.
That movie is fucking fantastic.
It really is.
Especially because back in high school I used to watch Dolomite films, which is largely what that is based off of. It's fucking fantastic.
I've only seen it the one time, but I want to see it again so bad. And I've seen it only one time, but I've seen that scene multiple times, since why I was able to recite it.
Because it's so good.
It really is.
And, like, seriously, everything that they made fun of, like the Dolomite films, which they're kind of parodying that largely, they were comedic films in the first place, but not as comedic as Black Dynamite. But seriously, like, the tropes they did in that, a lot of them happen in Dolomite films. The first Dolomite film I ever watched, I didn't just see the boom mic, I saw the boom mic operator. I can describe to you what he looks like.
Yeah, that happened a lot in Black Dynamite too.
Yeah, like I distinctly remember, I was like 16 when I saw my first Dolomite film, and the boom mic operator was completely in shot in a parking lot shot they did once, to the point that I still remember, I obviously can't see what he looks like because aphantasia, but I do distinctly remember it's a white, completely bald guy who's clean-shaven with sunglasses, laying on the ground in the parking lot holding up a boom mic, and you can see his entire goddamn head for like 5 whole seconds.
It's glorious.
It's so incredible.
There's another great scene. Sorry, there are multiple great scenes in Black Dynamite, but another couple of my favorites include Black Dynamite walks in on a bunch of guys, and he says, "Surprise, jive turkeys! The Miltons turn startled," and he gets a little confused, like, what's happening there? You can't be in here. How'd you get in here? I walked in. Let me speak to the man in charge. Sarcastically, I'm in charge. It's like he's reading his stage directions. Because in a different movie entirely, it was a Hercules movie, kind of famous for this. Randomly during one of the scenes, the Hercules actor says his line, "Wait, this isn't the right place," or something to that effect. But then he reads his stage direction out loud. Disappointed!
That became quite the meme on YouTube back in the day.
It's wonderful.
So great. What was that actor again? Kevin Sorbo?
You would probably know more than I would.
That might be his name. I don't want to get the wrong guy's name, especially because, like, that guy who played Hercules in that was not great. With a track record of disappointed. I've exclusively seen him in bad movies. It's just one of those ones where, like, I don't know, maybe he's really good at something that I haven't seen, and that's why he keeps getting casted. But God, he's sucked in everything I've seen.
I know one of my favorite Hercules actors is Lou Ferrigno, who used to play the Incredible Hulk, and the reason he's my favorite is because of the Hercules movie where, after his dad dies by a bear, Hercules goes up to the bear and flings it into space, and then it becomes Ursa Minor or Ursa Major, I can't remember which. And then the rest of the movie is like Hercules in space.
Yeah, I like Lou Ferrigno. I forget, isn't Lou Ferrigno, like, mostly deaf?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that, and, I mean, you can kind of tell when he talks that I don't know if he ever got, like, an earpiece put in or anything to help with that. Well, you're right, Sydney's chair is floating. I'm starting to do rematches now. I lost to Phoebe's last Pokemon.
There's another great scene from Black Dynamite where he's having a scuffle with somebody, and I can't remember what weapon comes flying in through the window, but something does come flying in, and he goes, "Haha! I threw that shit before I entered the room!"
Yeah.
Oh god. And then there was a time where in the middle of a fight, one of his lackeys or his buddies punches a guy. He goes, motherfucker, and then it cuts to the same scene happening again, but with a different actor.
Yeah.
Like they got rid of that actor because he was so mad that they actually landed a hit on him.
Yeah, they accidentally stiffed him and he refused to work.
Yep.
It's a great gag. Good comedies are the best thing ever.
Wet Hot American Summer, for example.
Yeah, much like how a bad comedy is simply unwatchably bad.
Like Benchwarmers 2, for example.
I have not watched that, but the name does not instill me with confidence.
Yeah. So Benchwarmers was originally a comedy movie, one that I grew up with, actually. And Benchwarmers 2 didn't take any of the old actors except for one of the minor characters. But the only thing it had going for it was that it was baseball with a couple of misfits, and they were adults this time in Benchwarmers 2, and the jokes were lame, and the characters were unlikable, and it just wasn't fun. So don't watch Benchwarmers 2, especially if you've watched Benchwarmers 1.
For some reason, every time you say Benchwarmers, it's like as I hear it, I'm wanting to auto-correct it to Ben Schwarmers.
Whoever that is.
Yeah, whoever that is. I don't know why it sounds like that to me, but it took till the second time you said it before I realized, no, bench warmers. I don't know why I am not hearing that right.
Mm-hmm.
Because bench Schwarmers is definitely not a thing I've ever heard.
I think it's a shawarma restaurant owned by a guy called Ben. Ben Schwarmers.
Ben Schwarmer. He just has a funny accent.
Yeah, I guess I know what this episode is titled.
Ben Schwarmer?
Ben Schwarmer.
That's a great name for the episode. No one will know what it means because it meant nothing until we said it just now.
Hell yeah. Incentive to watch the episode, I guess.
You know what I love about Moody?
A lot of
when
things,
I get
but go on.
when it massively raises my evasiveness. That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Shift Tree's using Mirror Coat. Oh, it's okay. I missed. Okay, well that's good.
You missed, so he missed?
Yeah, I just missed twice. I think I've lost some
accuracy.
I think I've lost some accuracy without realizing it. Well, he missed a bunch of times too. Well, that's my last eruption though, so that kind of sucks. I'm still only fighting Sydney. I kind of get the feeling I don't want to grind in here because I don't think it's as fast to grind on the Elite Four as it might be in Victory Road.
Yeah, especially
in
considering
Emerald,
the cutscenes.
Yeah, that's why. In Emerald, I would normally grind by fighting Sydney. But Roar of Time is cool, but I don't think Weepin' Bell needs it. Yeah, normally I'd grind by fighting Sydney a lot, but it's so slow with all the cutscenes and everything. I should probably grind through, grind through the Victory Road.
One thing I did want to mention in regards to the comedy angle, like really good comedies, Kung Pao Into the Fist. I know we've talked about it a number of times, and you still haven't seen it, but
I still need to. I
will toss that up there with great comedy movies alongside Wet Hot American Summer and Black Dynamite.
Okay,
like, they're all
I
fantastic.
believe you. I believe that it will probably be one of the funniest comedies I have ever seen. I don't want to hype it up for myself too much, obviously, but I am very confident that I will thoroughly enjoy it whenever the fuck I finally have a chance.
Yeah.
You know, in 100 years when I have a
100
chance.
years.
Yeah.
Oh golly, Meloetta with Eruption. Okay, I didn't do that much. Well, to cut a long story short, he got away with my snorkel, but I made a solemn vow right then and there that I would not rest, I would not sleep for an instant until the one-nostriled man was brought to justice. But first I decided to buy some donuts. So I got in my car and I drove over to the donut shop and I walked on up to the guy behind the counter and he said, "Yeah, what do you want?" And now here's the point where I speed run the entire donut segment. You got any glazed donuts? No, we don't got any glazed donuts. You got any jelly donuts? No, we don't got any jelly donuts. You got any cinnamon rolls? No, we don't got cinnamon rolls. You got any apple fritters? No, we don't got any apple fritters. You got any bear claws? Wait a minute, I'll go check. Nah, we're out of bear claws. I said, well, in that case, what do you have? He says, all I got right now is this box of 12 starving, crazed weasels. I said, okay, I'll take that. So he hands me the box, and I open up the lid, and the weasels jump out, and they immediately latch onto my face and start biting me all over. Oh man, they were just going nuts. They were tearing me apart. You know, I think it was just about that time that a little ditty started going through my head. I believe it went a little something like this.
Is that part of the song?
I'm supposed to be screaming right now, but in order to save on my, your, and the audience's sanity, I'm not going to scream.
Oh. Okay.
And that's the joke.
Okay.
I ran out of the street with these flesh-eating weasels all over my face, waving my arms all around and just running and running and running like a constipated wiener dog. And as luck would have it, that's exactly when I ran into the girl of my dreams. Her name was Zelda. She was a calligraphy enthusiast with a slight overbite and hair the color of strained peaches. I'll never forget the very first thing she said to me. She said, "Hey, you got weasels on your face." That's when I knew it was true love. We were inseparable after that. Oh, we ate together, we bathed together, we even shared the same piece of mint-flavored dental floss. The world was our burrito. So we got married and we bought us a house and we had 2 beautiful children, Nathaniel and Superfly. Oh, we were so very, very, very happy. Oh, yeah. But then one fateful night, Zelda said to me, she said, "Sweetie Pumpkin, do you want to join the Columbia Record Club?" And I said, "Whoa, hold on now, baby. I'm just not ready for that kind of a commitment." So we broke up and I never saw her again, but that's just the way things go. In Albuquerque.
I need to just sit down and listen to this song one day. I mean, I have multiple times from you, but you know what I mean.
I change it up every now and then because I don't remember, like, I can't recite it off the top of my head perfectly every time. I want to believe I can, but more often than not, I can't, and I'm A, embarrassed, and B, glad for the audience having to listen to me.
I am none the wiser, trust me.
Okay, so
It
welcome
all
back
sounds
to
normal to me.
welcome back to our Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire Let's Play with That's His Other Name and None the Wiser.
Yeah, that's my name.
That is
It's
your
not
name.
my other name, that is my name.
Oh, speaking of That's My Other Name, though, on Twitch, one of my new emotes just got approved. It is just an emote that says, "That's my other name."
Perfect. That's gonna get heavy use.
Yeah, so now I have 2 emotes at the time of recording this. There's a Kecleon giving the thumbs up, drawn by Barkasaursaur, and also That's My Other Name. Which you can get if you...
That name is incredibly familiar to me.
She has done fan art for this series in the past.
Yes, I believe I follow her on Twitter.
You do follow her on Twitter. We actually talked about that the other day, and she wondered if you would even remember her.
Oh, no, I remember the people. I don't remember the names very well. Usually what I remember is profile pictures. I remember profile picture, I remember country, and I'll remember if you sent me, like, if you sent a tweet to me that I hit the like button on, then I'll probably remember, and if you say I'm that person, I'll be like, oh, okay, you're that person. But if you say it, and if I see the name, I'll recognize it, like the visual of it. But hearing the name, I've never heard these names out loud for the most part. It's a username I read on Twitter or something. So the words don't sound as familiar to me. That's how I operate on that. I generally remember people, but if you just give me the name and I've never heard it out loud, I'll have a hard time.
But now you know. You know for certain for the next 5 minutes.
I get that a lot of, like, viewers where I'll talk to them or something, or I'll bring up their name because they were like, oh, they did something on the channel in the past, or they had played, I don't know, Friday 13th on the show in the past or something. And they'll always respond to something like, I'm really surprised you remember me. It's like, I don't know how to feel about that when I get told that, because on one hand, it's like, well, I'm happy that I probably made them happy by remembering them. On the other hand, it feels kind of weird, like, of course I should remember you, but then I realize, well, no, I guess I do actually talk to a lot of people, so I guess it is pretty understandable if I didn't remember. It feels to me like internally, like I should remember. And so it's like, yeah, of course I remember. Why wouldn't I remember? But no, I guess it actually is understandable if I don't. Welcome to being a YouTuber. It's a weird situation to be in.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of thing you think about, you know?
The trick is to have a small fan base, and that way you can always remember who's who and what they're known for within your community. And when I say small, exactly. I mean like 2 people.
That was pretty much my my tactic for 9 years until I blew up. I remember
that's been my tactic for 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's before I blew up, you know, when I had like I had 61,000 subscribers, right? Like the week before I blew up. And that doesn't sound like a small amount, I'm sure, to some people.
But consistent
and it definitely,
viewers.
I didn't consider it a small amount. I just didn't consider it a big amount. But, you know, like, not a ton of people were super vocal. You know, less than 1% of people comment. And so when you look at, like, less than 1% of that, yeah, I actually got a manageable amount of comments so I could read all of them. And so I would actually remember everybody's name, and I would talk to people, and... You know, I'd only get DM'd by like 1 fan a week, so I'd always respond because I actually had time to always respond, whereas now I'm always just feeling like an asshole because I barely ever have time to respond to anything, let alone read it fully.
But you are an asshole.
Well...
The truth come out.
I mean, I will confidently say I was an asshole for at least 25 years, so I have a lot of practice at it.
Yeah, at least
and then eventually I just kind of... Yeah, that's the way that's actually word for word what I was about to say is eventually I just kind of mellowed out and realized, I take shit too seriously. I gotta take shit less seriously. And ever since I started taking shit less seriously, I started being way happier. I don't know. Even with like YouTube comments, you know, like I always like read and respond to YouTube comments as much as I can, but honestly, it wasn't even until a few months ago that I finally responded to a YouTube comment where I kept saying to myself, no, surely this person will stop saying ridiculous things if I simply present to them more information about the subject at hand. Because they were talking about how the Pokemon Stadium Let's Play works and stuff. And so there's like a lot of behind-the-scenes technical aspects of that you obviously know about because you're with me on those, you help me with those. We work together on those things between you making Pokemon and us trying to get it in the game, and you see all the emulator troubles I go through with and stuff. So like, you know, we know a lot of weird little technical aspects that aren't obvious. It's not information that people should automatically know. And so I figure, you know, if this person commenting seems to have a misconception about how something functions, if I simply explain, then things can be resolved. And the more comments you get in, the more you realize they move the goalpost and move the goalpost, and they get ruder and ruder no matter how polite you stay. I say they. It's one individual in this case. But eventually, I came to this point when I just realized if someone very much just does not want to agree with me in this moment, they will find a reason not to. I always want to give the benefit of the doubt. I always want to talk things through, and I'm willing to agree to disagree, but it's the thing of, if I think that perhaps you simply have not been presented information that if you knew, then you would have more going in instead of saying things that are literally factually wrong about my process that I can teach you because I'm me and I do it. If I can present that stuff, and then I got called a demagogue for it, and then when I just said, like, I explained a little more, and I also just said, like, and by the way, like, don't lash out at me. I'm taking the time to try and explain to you how this thing works. Like, you don't need to insult me. They then said, wow, you don't know what demagogue means, it's not an insult, and they pieced out of the conversation. They called me a demagogue when I just tried to present the factual information of how the emulator works. A demagogue basically being someone who just blusters their way through conversations entirely based on like emotion and rhetorical devices rather than anything factual.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that because I wasn't sure about it.
It's okay. It's not obvious. It's basically someone who gets through arguments and conversations entirely through like rhetorical devices and appeals to emotion and whatnot, rather than literally the factual thing. when I had spent this whole time calmly trying to explain to this guy how the emulator works, and he kept insulting me, and I wouldn't insult him back, He calls me a demagogue. I have one sentence where I'm like, don't insult me, man. I've spent this whole time trying to teach you how this works. And he says, wow, demagogue's not an insult. And I just, in that moment, I literally started laughing to myself in my room. This was like 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. And I basically just in that moment said to myself, like, wow, there are people in this world who you truly cannot get through to in the moment. Not because they're a bad person, not because they're nuts, but because they have decided they do not like you, and they simply will not listen, no matter anything to the contrary. Maybe they would listen to it from somebody else's mouth, just not mine.
Yeah.
And I feel like a weight was lifted off my shoulders after that conversation, because I've not had an argument in the comment section since then, because it's just water off the duck's back at this point. I'll respond if I feel like it, and at any moment when I feel like the conversation has become ridiculous, I will not respond and forget about it by the next day, and I am happier for it. Because it's just, man, I have so many people who are so nice to me in the comment section. Why do I bother with the insanity?
I guess it's inherent, like, desire to try to explain yourself when you're being accused of something you're not doing.
Yeah, because, like, I think that's what it is I don't like when... I'm pretty hard to anger, you know that. Mm-hmm. But one of the few things that frustrates me, like, genuinely frustrates me, is when I know something for sure, because it's, like, it's not something I could possibly not know. Like, as something as baseline as, like, what is my intent behind something? You know, like, if I told a joke, and I know it's a joke, and someone were to think it's serious, then the only person on Earth who knows my intent is me, because it's in my brain, and we don't have technology for you to see in my brain. So if I tell you that it was a joke, your only choices are either to believe me or not to believe me, or I guess to not be sure. That's fine, too. And you don't need to believe me, because, you know, I can't present proof for that. Again, I can't show you the inside of my brain. So I can't prove that, so you really do have to just take me at my word. And that's your own decision if you want to take me at your word or not. But if you don't take me at my word when it's my own opinion, I find that really frustrating, because it's like, no, I literally know that I was telling a joke because I was telling a joke, and I'm the only one who can know that information for sure, and I'm telling it to you because I want you to know. And so if you just don't think I'm telling a joke, then I don't know where to go forward from there, because it's like, well, you're just choosing not to believe me now, and there's nowhere we can go from here. You've immediately put this into a corner, you know? Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I always want to work things out with people, and I always want to understand people, and, you know, I think that the vast majority of people are good people, and that you can work things out with them, and that most people are sane and rational most of the time, even if they aren't in that little moment that you saw them sometimes. Myself included, obviously. Everybody's like that sometimes. Everyone can be irrational. So I don't know. It's just, when I am trying my absolute best to just speak to somebody on a human level, and they won't even give me the slightest bit of trust when I've given them no reason to distrust me, that's frustrating. I think I care less about that now than I used to, because I'm more willing to just check out and be like, okay, I shouldn't care, let's not stress over this. I have more important things to do, you know? Still, how can it not suck to simply not be able to explain yourself, not for your own lack of words, but because you don't want to listen? That sucks. That's a shit situation.
Yeah. I feel like I've had the displeasure of having to deal with that on a couple of occasions. I can't think of any specific examples, / I don't want to bring up any specific examples.
Yeah. And, like, it's not like they're awful people and I'm not dismissing them as people. I bet you the vast majority of those negative interactions are a miscommunication, or a bad day on someone's side, or, like, something innocuous, you know? Mm-hmm. They're not remembering it the next day after either.
And then if they do...
Unless you're in an election cycle, then they'll hate you for good. Then emotions are too high, and they'll never let go of that seething hatred.